Pace University is proud to join this list of worldwide admirers. For his extraordinary life, visionary leadership, and deep love of higher learning, Pace University is honored to confer on Vartan Gregorian the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
As authorized by the Board of Trustees of Pace University, I confer upon you, Vartan Gregorian, the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereunto.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The provost listed all the jobs I have held, thus conveying the fact that I can't keep a job. So I hope that's not true. President Friedman, Chairman Bianco, Mr. Provost, my fellow educators, wonderful parents, families, staff, guests, and most important of all, glorious graduates of the class of 2013. I'm deeply honored to be one of you today. Thank you very much for having me. At the same time, I have no illusion about my role. After all, hardly anyone remembers the speech at their own commencement or even who gave it. Real celebrations you have planned to cope with comes later. In fact, the Washington Post once wrote that there have only been 3 truly remarkable, memorable commencement addresses. One was given in 1947 by U.S. Secretary of State George Marshall, who announced the plan to rebuild Europe after World War II. Another was given in 1963 by President John F. Kennedy, who announced a moratorium on nuclear weapons tests. Surprisingly, the third speech, given in 1997, had no news value at all. It featured the late author Kurt Vonnegut's byline. It satirized all commencement addresses that are often entrusted with pious moral instructions. You may even have come across to this famous Vonnegut speech because it continues to be emailed around the world, particularly at this time of year. It began with the famous line, "Ladies and gentlemen of the class of '97, wear sunscreen." Other bits of advice included, don't mess too much with your hair, floss, sing, stretch. My favorite line was, remember compliments you receive, forget the insults. If you succeed in doing this, tell me how. One commencement speaker I recall had even better advice. He simply said, don't go. In Monday's sports section of Wall Street Journal, I read a columnist's advice to graduates. The line I found most amusing said, relax, nobody expects anything from you for the first 80 or 90 years. The Vonnegut speech seemed to raise the bar on commencement addresses. Thankfully, I can breathe easier today, knowing, as many of you do, that the speech turned out to be a hoax, perpetrated by someone who simply pasted the author's name on the top of a humor column that was published in Chicago Tribune. But in that connection, let me assure you that what I want to speak to you about today, in this auspicious occasion, very definitely is not a hoax. Far from it. In fact, my message is very simple. Graduates of Pace University, you have done the right thing by working so hard to complete your undergraduate as well as graduate degree. Even though in recent years many questions have been raised about the value of college education and that of even advanced degrees, one thing is indisputable, that graduates are doing better in today's economy than those without a degree. For example, the unemployment rate for college graduates this past April was mere 3.8%, compared to 7.5% for everyone else. And as recently reported in the New York Times, and I quote, among all segments of workers sorted by educational attainment, college graduates are the only group that has more people employed today than when the recent recession started. In fact, there are now more employed college graduates than there are employed high school graduates and high school dropouts combined. Despite those encouraging signs and statistics, there are those who still tell our undergraduates that you could have taken your money spent on education and found a way to invest it and support yourself throughout the rest of your life. Actually, I like to meet a few of the people who say things like that because I have something to say back to them. Good luck with that plan. Indeed, as Derek Bach, former president of Harvard, once said, if you think education is costly, try ignorance. Let me offer you another important fact about education. We often talk about renewable energy in terms of natural resources, but I think that education is the most important source of renewable energy on this planet. And that is inexhaustible. Renewable energy is something you can always depend for the rest of your life, whether you're undergraduate, graduates, graduate students, or lifelong learners. One of the most important things your education will do for you, ladies and gentlemen, is provide you with ability to distinguish between what it means, on the one hand, to have a job, and on the other hand, to have a career and a calling. To find calling that speaks to your heart, to your soul, to your passion. After all, if the only purpose of education was to train undergraduates and graduates for specific jobs or skills only, life would be much more simpler. There will be hundreds of vocational schools on every corner, and you will spend a few months in training, retraining programs, and so on. But you know by now that it's not the ultimate aim of a true education, especially higher education, especially advanced degrees. Indeed, as a New Yorker and a habitué of many restaurants, I can tell you I have learned more from the waiters and waitresses and maître d's. When I ask, what are you aspiring? Is this your job? No, this is to pay the rent. My job is to pay for paying the rent. My career is painting, artist, dancer, writer, and musician. They know the difference between job and career and can keep up straight. However, in today's complex world and competitive economy, many people find themselves in just those circumstances. They end up having not only a variety of jobs, but also several careers over the course of their lifetime. You have to be prepared for that eventuality. My guess is that you are prepared because this great university has given you the kind of rich, resonant, and relevant education that has helped you become not only an adept, but adaptable. Not only capable of creating a career path for yourself, but reinventing that path if it turns out to be what you must do. That's what you must do. And if that happens, don't be scared. Believe me, there are many people twice your age, even more, who are still revising the life plan they left school with. Sometimes that is what circumstances force one to do. The key is to be open to making revisions, even welcoming them. After all, being able to reinvent oneself is part of the human condition. Those of you who have read Gabriel Garcia Marquez's Love in the Time of Cholera, you may remember that he says, human beings are not born once and for all on the day that their mothers gave birth to them. But throughout life, life obliges them over and over again to give rebirth to themselves. Now, of course, that does not spare you from the need to be literate, knowledgeable about math, comfortable with technology, familiar with the lessons of history, and much more. Those are the skills you have to take with you throughout life because you will find that you have to adapt them to be used in different ways as times and conditions dictate. I, for one, am certain that both undergraduates and graduates of this university are able to do that. I'm sure you will take what you have learned and go back to your education source, the fountainhead. Remember that education is a lifetime learning process and relearning. The renewable energy that education is will never let you down. Then, of course, there is an extraordinary fact that for the first time in history, this especially for both undergraduates and graduates too, each one of you, each one of us, has for the first time in history to have the ability to have access and own our virtual Library of Alexandria. What only pharaohs of Egypt had at the time, now we're able to have individual scholars, individual students, interested citizens. We have our own Library of Alexandria. But let me warn you that while we can find any information about anything we want to know, the most important thing is what questions do we have? What kind of curiosity we have? Because information does not constitute knowledge. It is not wisdom. The ability to carry around an entire corpus of Greek literature on a Kindle may be astonishing, but that does not mean that the individual who possesses that Kindle actually knows anything about Greek literature. Having 1,000 great books downloaded on your Kindle or Nook or on your iPad or smartphone just means that you're using a lot of storage space. One still has to read those books and ponder the ideas they contain, and one still has to discuss those ideas with other people in order to understand and debate different points of view. Most of all, one still has to think. Connectivity does not necessarily always guarantee connection. I'm reminded when Maine was connected to San Francisco telegraphically, it was either Mark Twain or Thoreau wrote, Maine is connected to San Francisco, and Maine has nothing to say to San Francisco. And even a treasure house can turn out to be nothing more than endless shelves, unrelated facts, and big data without an educated person's ability to weave them together into a tapestry of knowledge. Let me remind all of you something very elementary. As human beings, we were not created to be only consumer and entertainment units destined to become cogs in a system set up and regulated by others. Not at all, thank God. Human beings are seekers, dreamers, individuals who reject being confined into categories that will define them for the rest of their lives. And human beings are on a journey. As the late philosopher Pierre Teilhard de Chardin suggested, we are spiritual beings on a human journey, and the road you take alone, that journey is exhausting and glorious. It's marked by triumphs and defeats, by joys and anxieties and sadness, by doubt and uncertainty, by right turns and wrong turns. There's no escaping this reality. If you live your life to the fullest, you will have both failures and successes. You will experience them both because they are both the intrinsic ingredients of an interesting life. During this journey, you will face difficulties and hard times that will help you understand who really you are. Because throughout your lives and your careers, it will not be how you cope with success that will reveal your true character, but how you weather adversity, failure, defeat, and tragedy. No one can avoid making mistakes, but how able you are to get back on your feet, back on the right track after some large or small disaster will help you determine just how far those feet of yours will take you in the world. After all, it's important to remember that just about anybody can cope with success, but it takes true strength of character to cope with adversity. You're going to have all kinds of experiences in the years ahead, some good, some bad, and both are going to shape your character. Enjoy the good ones and don't become victim of the bad ones. Above all, please, I beg you, don't become cynics. Today's cynicism has become almost trendy. It's good for making jokes, for livening the cocktail hour, and for avoiding the responsibility of having a serious conversation with someone. It also fosters disillusionment with our institutions and policies just at the time when our nation, facing many challenges at home and abroad, needs an energized, engaged, serious citizenry. When it needs men and women who not only accept but even embrace their responsibility as members of a participatory democracy. Dear graduates, both undergraduate and graduate, this may sound like a cliche, but your destiny is your own hands. You can shape your own destiny, and that's where the renewable energy of your education comes so handy. It will empower you to be active players in the drama of life. As the great jurist Oliver Wendell Holmes remarked, a life is action and passion. It's required of men and women that they should share the passion and action of their time, at peril of being judged not having lived. Being passionate, by the way, also means being passionate about our country, being passionate about their democracy. It means not only being an educated citizen, but a committed and active citizen as well. That goes for every one of us. We all have to give a damn about our nation, our society, and our Constitution, which binds us together. You have to do justice to the generations who preceded you and who sacrificed so much to ensure your rights as Americans. You have to be engaged in the future of America. I hope many of you will become leaders. In fact, I hope you will become the kind of leaders who will breathe new life into American ideals and ideals of the countries from which you all come. Because until 10 years ago, 2/3 of all the world's foreign students who studied abroad had chosen American universities. And finally, I'm sure you will also pursue happiness as Declaration of Independence decrees in your birthright, as your birthright. But consider what kind of happiness you seek. Nowadays, there are many books written about happinesses and how you can achieve in 10 easy steps. But maybe your true happiness will be found not only in reaching your personal goals, but in doing something for your family, friends, community, society, and your country as well. There is great reward in being the person who makes a difference in the world. So I exhort you, make a difference. But making a difference begins at home. And to make difference, in order to make difference, you have to act. Belief is not enough. You have to be engaged and you have to be involved. Because as Elie Wiesel noted, indifference, to me, he said, is the epitome of evil. And I believe that absolutely to be true. Indifference can take the form of inaction or just being afraid to take action. Caring about problem is not the same as doing what you can do to change the outcome, even if it's hard and even if you think that despite your best efforts, you might fail. Finally, before I conclude my remarks, I would like to pay homage to your wonderful families, parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, guardians, the people who loved and raised you, because they're the ones, along with your professors, who have set the bar high for you and for your careers in order to allow you to accomplish your goals. They have been good ancestors to you, and therefore I feel bound to remind you that now is your turn over the next several decades to return the favor and use your talents and skills, your idealism and skepticism, your knowledge and expertise, and eventually your wisdom to become the good ancestors of all who will follow you, who will follow after you. And don't forget, someday, not as long from now, you will be the ones sitting in this audience, watching as your offspring march across the stage. And you will take pride in being the good ancestors who did their best and they did their share to make America and the world better, safer, more just, more equal, more welcoming, and more willing, in the words of the late John Lennon, to really give peace a chance. I hope you will do all that and more. In fact, I am sure you will. After all, as Alexis de Tocqueville wisely observed about America, in America, he said, each generation is a new people. You are those new people. You are the people that the rest of us have been waiting for. In fact, today, May 15, is your first official day as ancestors to be. I have faith that the most recent beneficiaries of great educational traditions, arts education, you will go far. So I wish you a great journey. I have no doubt it will be difficult but successful. I hope it will be also joyous. And I wish you good luck, great joy, and lifetime of learning. Thank you for being here. Thank you for graduating.
I now invite PACE alum Ron McGann, MBA 1996, Managing Director of Private Banking at JP Morgan Chase, to come to the podium and congratulate students on behalf of the alumni of PACE University.
Good afternoon. I'd like to start off by saying I'm honored to be here addressing you today, the class of 2013, on your graduation day. I would also like to thank President Friedman and the faculty and staff for their work and dedication in preparing all the graduates for this day. To all of you, the graduates, congratulations on completing an advanced degree program at one of the finest institutions of higher education in the country. Earning an advanced degree is an accomplishment only a small percentage of people reach. You should be very proud of this accomplishment. I was in your current position as part of the class of 1996. As I reflect back on my days at Pace University, I remember getting a clearer view of what leadership and teamwork really meant. The Pace professors challenged us to think outside the box as we worked together to come up with solutions to real-world business situations. As we worked in teams, I realized that leadership sometimes meant listening to others before offering my opinions and thoughts. In addition to learning from my professors, I learned a lot from my fellow classmates. It was these experiences which allowed me to develop into the person that I am today. Whether your intentions are to pursue a career in the corporate environment or pursue a more entrepreneurial approach, you will need to use these very two important skills. Not to worry, as a PACE graduate, you are prepared. If I may, I would offer one piece of advice. Please consider your career is a marathon and not a sprint. Set your goals and objectives, and I encourage you not to put a timetable on achieving them. As you leave here today, you join a large alumni network. Also, please remember to stay connected to PACE because we are out in the real world and can offer many insights that will help the university strengthen its brand. I am delighted to welcome you into the alumni family. Congratulations and best of luck.
And now it's my distinct honor to request Pace University President Stephen Friedman to deliver his personal message.
Thank you very much, Provost Sukhatmi, Chairman Bianco, Pace University trustees, distinguished faculty and staff, family, loved ones, and most of all, the graduate class of 2013. Congratulations. Yes. It's really a great pleasure and a privilege to share this moment with you. I want to begin with just a few words about Neil Bianco, who has been chairman of the PACE Board of Trustees for the past 14 years. During that period, he has attended virtually every single PACE commencement and has conferred the degrees on our graduates, as he will today. This is the last time that Neil Bianco will do that because his term as chairman is ending, although he will remain on the board. Neil, the entire PACE community owes you a debt of gratitude for your leadership and your commitment and your love of the university. Thank you so much for everything. You know, every year at convocation, I welcome the freshmen. And I give them a little lecture about what it takes to succeed in college and in life. And mostly I tell them that success in college requires that they seek mastery of what they're learning. I used to tell them that what they had to do was work really hard, but I discovered that didn't go over well, and they somehow identified working hard with long hours of drudgery. I think, as all of you know, nothing could be further from the truth. As graduate students, you understand what it means to seek mastery. You've experienced the thrill and the excitement of committing yourselves to really deep understanding, pursuing true excellence, and contributing to knowledge in your fields. Your decision to seek mastery and pursue a graduate degree was an inflection point in your careers. It bent the arc of your life and your personal development in a focused direction. Your graduation today attests to the wisdom of that decision. I hope it fills you with confidence about your ability to succeed, because we have great confidence in you. My message to you today is to keep going. Do not let your expertise, as strong as it is, keep you fixed in one place. Use it as a springboard for the expansion of knowledge and for adventure, intellectual adventure, throughout your life. Imagine that your professional life is like a giant oak tree, and your expertise, technology, history, accounting, literature, nursing, whatever, is the trunk. And as you pursue your career, you climb up the trunk and will begin to pass branches. Don't let too many of those branches go by. Climb out on a few of them. Each one will lead you to a whole new set of experiences, of people, of skills, and of knowledge. If you just remain on the trunk, if you stick only to what you know, you will miss out on so much of the adventure and so much of the satisfaction that life has to offer. Our wonderful commencement speaker, Vartan Gregorian, knows a great deal about stepping out on branches. He's been a professor and an administrator at universities in California, Texas, Pennsylvania, and New England. He has led 3 historic and very different institutions: Brown University, the New York Public Library, and the Carnegie Corporation. And he's led each one to new heights. No staying on the trunk for him. As you consider stepping out on new branches, follow his example, be brave. Do not be afraid to try new things. In a world of constant change, and that is surely what we live in, staying in the middle of the trunk can be a risky, not a conservative strategy. And life on the branches will be exhilarating, I promise you. I spent most of my career as a lawyer and in government, and about 9 years ago, I had a decision to make, whether I would stay on the trunk or step out on another new branch. I went for the branch, and I became dean of Pace Law School. It was a truly wonderful experience for me. 6 years ago, Chairman Bianco asked me to step out on another branch and serve as president of this great university. Life on this branch has been more deeply satisfying, challenging, exciting, and happiness-making than anything I have ever done. An important side note: never, ever be afraid of failing. There is no one who is successful who has not failed at least once, and often more. In many ways, we learn a lot more from our failures than from our successes. When we're successful, we usually think we're successful because we're so clever and smart. But if we fail, we often sit down to try and figure out exactly what went wrong. And those of you who are scientists know the value of failed experiments because they provide very important information about what is not true. Even more important, although a particular venture may not turn out the way you expect it to, it will change your life. You will have learned a huge amount about a new area, met new people, and opened up a whole new range of possibilities for you. Finally, please remember that PACE will always be with you. This university will be part of your life for the rest of your life. Your experience here will shape your future in ways that you can only begin to understand today. Years from now, time and again, the lessons you've learned, intellectual, practical, moral, from someone on this great faculty will come surging out of your subconscious in a difficult moment to save you or to help you deal with a difficult problem. So as you move to the next stage in your lives, I hope you will cherish your time here and what it has given you, that you'll maintain deep relationships with your classmates and your friends on the faculty, that you'll come back often to see friends and help PACE in the countless ways that only alumni can, and that you will support the university so that new generations of PACE students have the same opportunities that you have had, just as prior generations of PACE alumni have supported you. We are all part of an organic whole, and each of us bears some measure of responsibility for all of the others. Finally, be proud of your association with PACE. We are very, very proud of you. Congratulations, good luck. My warmest wishes go to you all. Thank you.
And now on to the main reason for this afternoon's commencement. Will Dr. Mary Jo Russell O'Grady and Dr. Lisa Bardil Moscaritolo, Deans for Students, please rise to assist in the hooding of the doctoral candidates and presentation of the scrolls. I invite Dr. Harriet Feldman, Dean of the College of Health Professions, to please come forward to introduce the candidates for graduation from her college.
Thank you. I have the great pleasure of presenting the candidates for the Doctor of Nursing practice. Will the distinguished faculty please rise in presenting the candidates from the College of Health Professions. Serving as reader will be Dr. Lucille Ferrara, Assistant Professor in the Lienhardt School of Nursing. Will the Doctor of Nursing practice candidates please rise and come to the stage?
Yes, okay. Ready? Dr. Mitzi Francis. Okay. Dr. Rosania Rubiano. Dr. Lucy Duque Roberts. Dr. Liliana Lopez. Dr. Terry Martin. Dr. Nia Metter. Dr. Veronica Elizabeth Francois. Dr. Sandra Farrell. Dr. Flora Antwi. Dr. Marie Carmel Garçon. Dr. Rose Moran Kelly. Dr. Lorraine Allison Von Eden. Dr. Natalia Fazalova. Dr. Joanna McHale Powell. Dr. Denise Camelli.
Will the faculty please remain standing in presenting the master's degree candidates from the College of Health Professions representing nursing and physician assistant disciplines. Will all the degree candidates proceed to the stage and be introduced individually? Master of Science, Master of Arts, and Certificate of Advanced Graduate Studies.
Sharon Bay.